Did you come down to the beach a lot?
I did. I used to spend a lot of time here on my own as well, you know, like collect my thoughts, that sort of business, you know, and dream of leaving. but there's something quite peaceful about standing like on the shoreline here, and it's you know, just to think about your life, think about what's going on and where you want to go and what you want to do, and that visualization thing. That
when you said think of leaving, how old were you then?
I was 2. No, I was no. I think I don't mean to sort of like put Fleetwood down and say that I wanted to get away from it. It was just that I wanted to do stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to see the world, and I knew that I had to break away from Fleetwood and break away from the family and friends and things to do that.
Was over there important to you for the future?
It was, yeah. I used to look over there and think, I wanna travel the sea and get to America and play over there. And then I realised I was looking at Barrow, you know, so it didn't really.
You found places to sing outside the house, didn't you, with amateur?
Yeah.
Because there seems to be a thriving amateur scene around Fleetwood, in and around Fleetwood at that time, amateur singing societies.
There was a lot. There was a lot of amateur operatics and things. There was a number of companies that I used to be a part of. First one was a bit of a funny title, but it was this lady's name, Lottie Dawson's Fleetwood Choir. You know, Lottie Dawson's Amateur Operatic Society.
Who was Lottie Dawson?
She was a local lady who put on, lovely lady, but she put on these shows in the local theatre in Fleetwood at the Marine Hall.
It's a lot grander than you think, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean,
that's fantastic down there.
Yeah.
Your mother and father used to come here?
They used to dance here all the time, you know.
Yeah.
On the stage they used to have Sid Lawrence was here, Glenn Miller's played here, and Tommy Dorsey and all those big band sounds.
They try to tell us we're too young.
But was that where you sang your first lines?
That was that was the first stage that I performed on.
Was this Lottie Dawson's?
Lottie Dawson's.
Lottie Dawson's.
Lottie Dawson's Amateur Operatics, yeah. And I stood on that corner, and the first song I sang, I think it was the Jimmy Young song, Too Young.
This love will last, though years may go.
Did a lot of your family go to operatic societies?
No, my sister Maria was the one that went first. She started, and then she dragged me along. My mother said, you know, get out of the house, you need a hobby, you know, you're in the way. And I got as far as the door and saw these guys and everybody prancing around and singing and doing all this sort of stuff, you know, and I thought, this isn't for me, you know, I can't do this. So I turned around and went home, you know, and then the following week I plucked up courage to go back, because I found out that this girl that I fancied went there every week. So I went back and saw her in the room, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll do anything that it takes to go out. I'll swing my arms like that if need be, you know. Still didn't get me a date, but you know.
But it got you started.
It got me started, yeah.
And you left school, again, it's part of this sort of fairy story because of the way it ended, but you went to work in a local factory spraying paint on cars.
Yeah, there was a few things. Career Day consisted of the Royal Navy or the Army coming to see, or one of the forces, it'd be the police or the fire brigade, and also the fishing board or the local priest had come along. So it was a choice of going in the forces, going to sea, or becoming a priest. And we were told that what you want to do is get a trade behind you, because you'll always have something to fall back on.
So something to fall back on.
Yeah.
As if complete anticipation that you would fall back.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the future. You were going to fall
That's
back.
It. You can have your dreams, but you won't be a success at it, you know. Yeah.
So you went into the factory?
Went into the factory, went around businesses, and came across TVR through the Dole office. Actually, they sent me along for an interview. Started there working as a what was known as a matte blacker, which was basically the lowest of the low jobs. It consisted of spray painting the underside of bonnets and inside door panels. A lot of tedious work.
In this world I walk alone, with no place to call my home, but there's one who holds my hand.
And it was at the car factory that I got spotted. And it was while I was singing along to the radio that a customer overheard me and said I have a really good voice and suggested that I make a goal at becoming a singer.
This was advice that was to change the life of the 17-year-old Alfie. A customer told him that the D'Oyly Carte Opera Company in London was auditioning for men to sing in the chorus. Alfie decided to give it a go and caught the train south. Had you prepared anything?
The only song I'd prepared, the only song that I knew that was in a classical vein was the song "You Are My Heart's Delight" by Franz Lehar, and that was a song that my father used to sing all the time and used to play on the record player all the time on a Sunday.
When like a star you shine on me, shine then my whole life through. Your light divine bids me hope anew.
That was really the song that had stuck in my mind and that I'd learnt for this audition. I obviously made lots of technical mistakes because I wasn't trained. And so I just stood up on that stage, a black auditorium, didn't see anybody's faces, only heard voices, and sang the song to the best of my ability and just lost myself in it. And that was probably the best audition I'd ever done, really, you know. Then it all went quiet at the end of the song and nobody said anything. Nobody said a word, and so I just thought I'd made a complete fool of myself, and all these other singers were waiting to come in after me, and they're all done up in suits and ties and parted hair and everything was pristine, and I was wearing jeans, denim shirt and trainers, which is pretty much what I'm wearing today. So once I'd finished singing the song, it was just silence in the auditorium, and then I just heard someone take a deep breath. Okay, Mr. Boe, thank you very much for coming, we'll be in touch. And that was it. That was it. And I thought, and so I got a phone call 2 days later saying, can you come back down to London, we want to hear you again. Do you know anything else other than You're My Heart's Delight? And I said, no. He said, well, what are you working on at the minute? And I said, well, I'm in a production of West Side Story. And he said, well, bring your score down and we'll go through a little bit of that with you and see how that goes. So I went down again to a church in Maida Vale. They got me to sing and to see how high I could sing. And the conductor was taking me through the scales and working higher and higher, and I wasn't stopping, I was just going up, and he took me up to a top C, and that was the day that I realised I was a tenor.
O sole mio, sta in fronte a te.